Or do you have any idea about direct variation? I think you have a lesson with this one when you were in grade 5 as well. Relationship. Okay, actually yes, relationship, direct variation. So, grade 5 or grade 6? Kay discussion po din ako siya sa grade 6 karon or grade 5 narana. Okay. So, I hope you're familiar with this one. So, what is direct variation? So, when we say direct variation, it will tell us whenever a situation produces pairs of numbers in which their ratio is constant. So, if we are going to talk about ratio class, unsa day ng ratio? Sige daw. What is a ratio? Diba sa circle man not sure? Naapod siya sa circle ang ratio. Uban na sa diameter. Radius man siguro na siya yung giingon. Ang ratio. Okay. So, you have there sa Cartesian plane. Okay. So, when we say ratio class, it is a relationship of two quantities in a given values. So, ratio is two quantities. So, meaning to say, ang katong isa nimo ka, ang first nimo you have there one number and then the other number and it has relationship with each other. Like for example yes, very good, Dakuma. For example, sa inyong cooking, sa inyong tali, di ba naman mo'y cooking kuan, mo na nga, ang inyong water o inyong flour kay alahang ratio is 1:1. One cup of water and then 1 cup of flour. Okay? So that is our ratio. That is two quantities which has relationship with each other. So, meaning to say here in our direct variation, dapat daw ang inyuhang ratio is constant siya. Okay? It should be your ratio is constant. Now, this can be expressed into mathematical statement or equation as y is equals to k, where k is equals to y over x. So, your k there, that is your constant. Okay? That is your constant. So, you have there, K is the constant of variation or constant of proportionality. So, these statements can be read as y varies directly as x. This one, y varies directly as x. And then you can also say y is directly proportional to x. Or it can also be y is proportional to x. Okay, so this one class, this equation here can be read as all of these three statements or three phrases here. Okay, you have to remember because it has different variation man class, which is in our following lessons. We have inverse, we have joint, and we have combined. But for this time, we're going to have direct and inverse. Now, we are going to know that these statements mean that two quantities, x and y, an increase of x, so ang increase sa x can also cause an increase in y. So, meaning to say, kung mudako ihang x, mudako po ihang y. So, similarly, a decrease in x causes a decrease in y as well. Okay? So, meaning to say, pareha gid sila og daganan. So, kung pataas ang x, pataas po imuhang y. Paubos imuhang x, paubos po imuhang y. That is what we mean by direct variation. Okay, so far, do you have any questions? Clarifications, violent reactions.
None, not sure.
Okay, non-ra. Okay, very good. Now, this time is we are going to have now our example. So we have here using his bicycle, Ivan travels a distance of 10 kilometers per hour on a steep road. And ang atong gihimo og table ang iyahang kuan, distance ug ang iyahang time. So we have here for time per hour. So for 1 hour iyahang distance nga ma-travel is 10 kilometer. For 2 hours, we have there the distance is 20 kilometers. For 3 hours, we have 30 kilometers. And then for 4 hours, we have 40 kilometers. And for 5 hours, maka-travel siya of 50 kilometers. Now this time, we have here some following things to do. So we're going to show that distance D. So this one, distance D, ako siyang buhatan o kanang abbreviation lang. Or you can write the first letter sa imong word. Varies directly as time t. Okay, varies directly as time t. Now, we're going to have letter B. We are going to draw the graph of D against T. And then, we're going to write an equation showing the relationship between D and T. And we are going to know how far Ivan traveled after 8 hours. So, pila ka iyang ma-traveled for 8 hours and 10 and a half hours. Okay, so now let's start with our first nga given dere or letter A nga question. So we are going to show that distance D varies directly as time T. So how are we going to write this one? Since niingon man ta nga i-show daw nato kung unsay lahang varies sa D og sa T. So here class, I'm going to show you in a table gyapon siya and then nagbutang na kog ratio diri. So for the ratio class, you can use D over T. Or meaning to say, you're going to divide your distance for your time. So that, ang kanang ratio nimo, di ba, ningon man ta atong ratio is, mao to siya ato ang constant. So tan-aw na to if constant ba ang iyahang ratio diri. If we're going to divide distance over time. So let's try to divide class. 10 divided by 1. What's the answer? Okay, 10. Very good. Now, how about for 20 divided by 2? 20 divided by 2. Okay, very good. That is also 10. How about for 30 divided by 3? Okay, 10 again. Now, for our 40 divided by 10. That is still 10. And for 50 divided by 10, that is also 10. So if you can see here, class, what can you say about their ratio? You have their 10 all. What can we say about this one? They are similar. Or, shall we say they are constant? So when we say constant, it's not changing. Okay? So here in our first hour, the ratio is 10, second hour, and the distance the same as well. That is 10. So that is how you are going to show how the distance varies directly as time. If they have the same ratio or the same constant, then it means to say they are in direct variation. Okay, nasabtan class? Maragin natong hinumduman basta direct variation. The constant is not changing. Okay? So, or your K is not changing. So, kaning ratio na to diri class, mo ni siya tong K ganina sa Y is equals to K times X. Okay, so, no questions for letter A. Gets ra? Okay. So now, class, is we are going to have, or let's answer letter B. Na dedere. You have there D over T is equals to 10, which is constant, and then D varies directly as T. Basta constant iyahang ratio. Now, let's go to letter B, class. We are going to draw the graph of D against T. So how are we going to draw the graph here? Since, class, you are given a table man, so you're just going to use the ordered pair here. So you can use 1 as your x and then 10 as your y. 2 as your x, 20 as your y. And then 3x, y is 30, 4x, 40 is y, 5 is x, and then 50 is your y. So, kani siya, kuno ni siyang gihatag ang drawing daan. But you can, use your graphing paper. Or katong Desmos nga kung gipakita ninyo last time. Okay? So, you're just going to plot that one. So, imuhang y kay 1 man. So, nadiri ang 1 and then 10 ihang distance. So, kana siya kay 20 man na siya, class. So, half ana niya. So, nadiri imuhang 110 and then your 220 and then 330, 440 and then 550. That is how you're going to draw a graph since you are given man a table of values. Okay? Now, for letter C, class, we're going to write an equation showing the relationship ang time x okay. Ang time kay x na siya, yes. This is your x and then this is your y. Ang distance. Okay. Now, you have there, write an equation showing the relationship between D and T. Now, this time is we're going to write already the equation. So, di ba, we had a while ago, nga niingon man ta sa to ang A nga, kuan siya, directly proportional ang ato ang D sa ato ang T because na siya constant nga 10. Since naaman siya constant nga 10, class, we can already make an equation there. So, using lang yapon sa katotong gihatag ganina sa second slide, which is y is equals to k times t. So, your y there should be your distance. So, you can say that d is equals to 10 times t because you have there your ratio a while ago was 10 man, diba? And then, ingon man ta nga atong constant, mauto siya to ang k. So, imo rang i-substitute imuhang 10 didto. And then, your d there is your y, katong nasa gawas. And then, your t is your x. So, your equation will be d is equals to 10 times t. Okay? So, mao na siya ang imuhang equation for this given table using direct variation. Okay, questions about this equation in letter C. Questions kung giunsa siya pagkuha. Walay questions? Okay, wala. Goods ra? Okay. So, now remember that mora gyud ni siya to ang kuanha ato ang direct variation. Y is equals to k times x. Okay, and then ang ato ang constant kay you're going to get that one as k is equals to y over x. So, this is your y and then this is your x. Mo to siya gikuha na to ganina sa tong letter A, ayahang constant. And then, gi-substitute ra na to yung constant nga 10 diri sa to ang equation. So, now, class, since we got already our equation, then we are ready to solve for our letter D. Which is, the question is, how far Ivan traveled after 8 hours and 10 and a half hours. Okay, so let's start first with 8 hours, which is our time is equals to 8. So, ato ra to siyang i-substitute or ato ra ni siyang i-substitute class so that we can get the distance. So, di ba our equation a while ago is D is equals to 10 times T. So, substitute ra na to class. So, what's the result of 10 times 8? Pila result? Okay, that is 80. So, meaning to say, if Ivan traveled 8 hours, he will get or he will have the distance of 80 kilometers. Okay? So, that is the answer, 80. For if T is equals to 8. Now, how about 10 and a half hours class? So, you have there 10 times 10 and a half. So, what's the answer there? Sige, try daw to solve if you have calculators there. Okay. Is it 50? 10 times 10 and a half. Is it 50? Okay, we have there 105. Very good. Because you have there, kuan man, 10 times 10 and a half. That is 105. Okay? So as you can see, class, as the time increases, our distance also increases. So you have there from 110 and then 220 until 10 and a half, that is 105. So magkataas iyahang time, taas pod ang iyahang distance. Because that is what direct variation is all about. Now, question for our example number 1 class. Naay question? Okay, wala ra. Now, let's go to our next example class. So, example number 2. Now, this time is we are going to write an equation for the following statements. So, let's try to practice this one because if you know how to make the equation into or if you know how to make those statements into equation, then it is easier for you to formulate or to answer the given. So let's start with number 1. We have here the fare F of a passenger varies directly as the distance D of his destination. So how are we going to write this one, class? Into our direct variation equation. Sige daw. How are we going to write this one? We have F is equals to X, D is equals to Y. Okay. Or maybe class, katuganing X o Y na to, you can just simply use what is bold here. Okay, it's okay nga dili na ta magamit sa to ang X o Y if na siya given nga mga letters diri. What you need to do is i-substitute na lang ninyo siya. So, asa man ninyo i-substitute inyong F o asa man ninyo i-substitute inyong Y. Sige, anyone. Just try lang. You have there ang fare ko na sa passenger varies directly as the distance d of his destination. So, inyo na siyang i-substitute sa ato ang formula ganina, nga y is equals to k times x. So, asa man natong i-substitute sa ato ang sa ato ang y. Naman tay f passenger varies directly. Di ba naman tay representation ato og unsaon nato siya pagbasa. So, kung giunsa nato siya pagbasa, maura po ito iyang pagsuwat. So, how are we going to write this one? Sige. Who will give it a try? Wala. Okay, sige. Maybe I'll give the first one na lang siguro. So, we have there F is equals to K times D. Diba, atong pagbasa ganina class, F varies directly as the D. So, same resad na siya sa atong first nga slide ganina. Okay? Same rapod na siya. As you can see, Y is equals to K times X. Y varies directly as X. Okay? So, mag-una ang Y, mag-una po di mo ang Y diha. So, same sad sa imong pag-translate sa imong statement. You have Y is directly proportional to X. Y is equals to K times X. Y is proportional to X, same lang gihapon. Nasabtan class, on how are we going to write? So, kung unsay nag-una og suwat nimo diha, mao pud na siya imong left side. Okay? So, you have there, for our given number 1, so that is F is equals to K times D, where our constant nga K, makuha nimo siya by getting your F, which is the fare over the distance. So, kuhaon nimo iyahang fare over the distance. Questions class for our first example. In writing an equation of the following sentences. Sige, do you have any questions? Hello? Can you still hear me? Okay. Sige. Now, let's try to have this number, letter B. The weight of an object is directly proportional to its mass, M. The weight W, or the weight W of an object is directly proportional to its mass. How are we going to write this one into equation? Okay, so we have here from Desiree. F is equals to K times M. F is equals to K times M. Is it F or W? Okay, so it's W. So you have there, that is correct. So you can have W is equals to K times M is equals to K is equals to W over M. So to get your constant, you're going to have your weight over your mass. But for our kani jud siya class, kani siya nga equation is maon, or kani nga statement is maon ni siya nga equation. Kaning W is equals to K times M. So ato ra dyan sundon ang pattern class, maura pod ang pagsuwat niya as the equation. Okay, nasabtan. Pattern ra pod ato ang gikuan ani. Now, let's go to the last example. The area A of a triangle is proportional to its height. How are we going to write that one? Okay, you have A is equals to K times H. Okay. A is equals to a K over H. Or maybe that is K is equals to A over H. Okay. Okay. So you have there, class. Very good. So we have A is equals, or that is, if we're going to read that one, area of a triangle is proportional to its height. Mauna siya ang pagbasa. You have there A is equals to K times H, where K is equals to A over H. Okay, so far, any questions in writing equation for the following statements? Sakto unta akong complete. Okay. Sige lang. Sige, any questions? Timan iha, ang kanang K na to diha, constant na siya. Ang kaning pagkuha nimo kanimong gi-divide, that is how you're going to get the constant. Okay, no questions, Ra? Now, let's go to our example number 3. So this time is we are having statements, and then we're going to solve or to find for something. So if y varies directly as x, and y is equals to 24 when x is equals to 6, find the variation constant and the equation of the variation. So, if we are going to have problem na gani, class, we are going to read it bits by bits. So, arita mag-start sa if y varies directly as x, and kanisa ta mo stop diri. If y varies directly as x, you can make this one into equation first. Sige, saan man ni nato pag himog equation, class? If y varies directly as x. Sige, how are we going to write that one into equation? Same sa atong gibuhat a while ago. Equation lang sa ta. If y varies directly as x, how are we going to write this one into equation? Okay, we have y is equals to 24k, and then k is equals to 24 over times 6. Okay, so you substituted already. So what we need to do first is to make our equation usa. Dira jud ta mag-start, class. Kung unsay nag-una nimo diha mo sa nimo siyang buhaton. So since you have there if y varies directly as x, so imo na siyang himog equation. Di ba? Mao man ni ang equation sa y varies directly as x. You have y is equals to k times x. Am I right? Sakto ba? Mao yang equation? Yes. So, kay maong gibuhat na nato ang equation, class, because you will know asa imuhang i-substitute or unsa imuhang pangitaon. Okay? Dira ta makahibaw kung unsa to ang sunod buhaton. And then here, naghatag sila og given, which is ang y kuno is equals to 24. And then ang x kuno is equals to 6. So, kung ato ning i-substitute diri ang tanan, class, you cannot solve all because wala man kay k diha. Di ba ang naa nimo, you have only y and your x, which is kanira imong ma-substitute diri. So mo na siya ang question diri, class, is you are going to find the variation constant. So find the variation constant. Unsa gani ang constant nato diri, class? Is it y, k, or x? Is it y, k, or x? Asay constant na to, ani? Oh, is it x? Okay, that is k. Very good. Ang k ang ato ang constant diha, class. Okay, remember ang k ato ang constant diha. So pangitaon sa nato ang constant para makita nato sa iyang equation. So ang pagkuha sa equation, you have there y is equals to value sa imong constant and then your x. So, what you're going to do is i-substitute nimo imong y og x para makita nimo ang imuhang constant na k. So, you have there, solve for the k. So, mana siya, imuhang y is 24. And then, your k is wala pa because unknown man siya. And then, your x is 6. Diba? And then, ang k man atong gipangita, so that is k times 6, that is 6k. So, we are going to divide that one both sides by 6 para makita na to ang atoang value sa k. So, 24 divided by 6 class, pila? Pila ang 24 divided by 6? Okay, di ba? That is equivalent to 4. So, meaning to say, your constant there is equal to 4. Since nakuha naman ni mo imong constant class, or hinapod ka sa next question, we're going to find the equation of the variation. So, if we're going to get the equation sa atong variation class, ang k ra atong i-substitute, ana. Kung pila imong k diri, mauna siya imong i-substitute. So, you will have y is equals to 4x. So, this is now your equation of variation. Okay? Ang imuhang k ra imong i-substitute. Nasabtan class for our example number 3. Questions? Clarifications? Wala ra? Okay. Now, let's go to our next problem class. We have here, find the variation constant and the equation of variation in which y varies directly as x and y is equals to 51 and x is equals to 3. So, pangitaon gyapon na to ang ato ang variation constant and then equation of variation. So, same ra gyapon sino gi-twist lang ato ang question diri. So, you have there, ari juta mag-una sa ato ang naakain aning a part. Mo ni siya imong unahon class. Okay? So that pwede nimo siyang nanakay basis kung unsaon nimo siya pag-answer. So, you have there y varies directly as x. So, how are you going to make that one into equation? Y varies directly as x. So, na to siya paghimog equation. Okay, very good. Actually, same rin na siya diri class O if y varies directly as x. So, you have there y is equals to k times x. Okay. Now, this time, y is equals to 3k. Okay. So, now this time is we are going to solve for our k. So, using this equation yan, atong na-form with the given here, atong i-substitute. So, you have there your y is equals to 51 and then your x is equals to 3. And then, pangitaon na to ang k. And then, you will have 3 times k, that is 3k. And then, divide both sides by 3. So, 51 divided by 3 class, pila? Okay, very good. So, it means to say your k is equals to 17. Now, what is now your equation of variation? What is now your equation of variation? Okay, very good. We have y is equals to 17x, not k. Okay, not k ha? You have there x. Because, ang imong x, mo man na imong constant, which is ang 17. Imo naman siyang gi-substitute. So, ang x ang imuhang itapad niya. Okay? Sige. Now, questions class for example 3 and 4. Okay, none run, nasabtan. Okay, very good. Remember class how what is your equation of variation is constant ra imong i-substitute. Okay, but you really need to find the constant first. Okay? So now let's go to our example number 5 class. We have here if x varies directly as y and x is equals to 35, when y is 7, what is the value of y when x is 25? Okay, so ato siyang hinay-hinayon og basa para or hinay-hinayon na to siyang solve para dali ra natong ma-identify ang answer. So you have there, alita mag-start sa tuang x varies directly as y. How are we going to write this one in our equation? Saan na to siya pagbuhat? Okay, we have x is equals to k times y. Very good. So, since x man gaon na diha, so x pa di mo hang left. Diba, kung dali ra kayo siya maghimog equation class. Kung sa gaon na, mura pa di mo hang isuwat. Now, this time class is na siya gihatag nga given dire nga x is equals to 35 when y is 7. So, unsa kuno value sa y kung ang iyahang x kay 25. So, unsaon man nato pagkuha sa value sa y diri class? So, what we need to do first is the same thing as what we did in our example 3 and 4. So, we need to find solve for x or solve for y. Okay, we're going to find the constant first. Okay, solve the k first so that you can get your value of y when x is 25. Since na naman kay given diha nga x o y class, you're just going to substitute that one to get your value of k. So, di ba, niingon man ta nga, itong x is 35 and then ato ang y is 7. So, you're going to have that one. 35 is equals to 7k. So, 35 divided by 7, pila? That is 5. So, you have there, you got already your k, which is 5. Now, using again your equation here, class, pwede na na nimong makita imuhang y. Diba? So, x is equals to 5. Okay, maybe. So, what you're going to do is, i-substitute na po nimo para makita nimong value sa y. So, you have there, imuhang equation bag-o is you have na, y is equals to, 5 na siya class ha, sorry. Y is equals to 5x. Typo na siya class. Y is equals to 5x. Kaya mo man na imong k. Imo ra man gi-substitute. Sayop man yun eh. Nyara class ha, itong i-usbon ha. Sayop na siya class. That is x is equals to 5y. Kay bali man ato ang equation ron. Then this one here. Okay. Now, okay. So, you have there, i-substitute na to siya sa ato ang equation. So, you have x is equals to k times y. So, pangitaon daw nato ang y class kung ang iyahang x kay 25. So, substitute lang yuhagyapon nato siya. You have there, x nato is 25 and then 5y. Kay you have there, 5 man is your constant and then your y. So, you're going to divide that 1 by 5 both sides. So, your y is equal to 5. Okay? So, nakita na nato nga kung ang x day niya class is 25, iyahang y is equals to 5. So, mogit siya ang first step class. You need to get your equation for your statement. And the next one is to solve for k. And then next is to solve for unknown. Okay? Sige. Now, do you have any questions? For example, number 5.
None.
Okay, none. Now, let's go to the next one, class. If y varies directly as x and y is equals to 24, when y is equals to 6, what is the value of y when x is 15? Okay, how are we going to write the equation here? We have, tanawa na to ang letters ha, you have there if y varies directly as x. Sige daw. Kilukas ng ilong eh. Okay, very good. So, you have there, y is equals to k times x. Remember, y ang gaon na diri class. Okay? Nabuta ko. Okay. So, Now, so now you have there, what we're going to do next? What are we going to do next? I-solve na to ang constant. Okay? So you have there, we're going to solve for k. So substitute lang na to, since naman tayo given diha, y lagi ni tanan. Okay, so ang kanang 6 class is x na siya ha. Sorry kaayo. Sa kadlawon magbuhat class mo ni siya mga buta na. So you have there, oops. So you have there, x na siya class ha, x is equals to 6. So you have 24 is equals to k times 6. And then 24 is equals to 6k. So divide both sides by 6. So 24 divided by 6 class pila. That is 4 again. So 4 is your constant. Now you can make your equation of variation. Y is equals to 4 times x. Okay? Now what's the next step class? We're going to find the value of our y. When x is 15. So, kanina sa datong gamiton, is-substitute ra nato siya, x is equals to 15, y is equals to unknown. So, you have there, y is equals to 4 times 15. So, pila siya class? That is 60. So, your y is equals to 60 kung imong x di ay kay 15. Questions for number 6. Wala naman day time. Ay. Okay, none. Now, let's have our second to the last example class. So, this time, it is all about like real-life situation. So, a worker's paycheck, P, varies directly as the number of hours worked. For working 20 hours, the payment is 1,000 pesos. Find the payment for 45 hours of work. So, ari sa ta mag-start sa tuang statement here, class. A worker's paycheck varies directly as the numbers of hours each worked. How are we going to write that one into our equation? Okay, we have from Janina. P is equals to K times H, which is correct. Very good. So, gisunod ra nato, no? Makuha da yun na tong equation. Now, class, natay given diri nga, yaha ko nung working hours kay 20. Ang payment ko no is 1,000. So, what are we going to do next class? Sa isunod ko haon na to. Iyahang constant. So, you can have your 20 as your hours or age, and then 1,000 is your pay or bayad. Sweldo. So, you can have 1,000 is equals to K times 20. So, ari ra na siya gikan, gi-substitute na to ang P, 1,000, ang H kay 20. So, you have there 20K. So, divided by 1,000, what's the answer? 20 divided by 1,000 divided by 20. Okay, that is 50. Very good. So you have there your K is 50. Now, what is your class? Your equation for the variation. Substitute ra nimong K dire. That is P is equals to 50 times H. Or P is equals to 50H. Di K class ha? H. Kay K naman na imong 50. So, imo rang gi-substitute. Okay. Ayog kalibog class. Okay. Since you have already your equation for the variation, then that's the time makuha na nimo imuhang next question diri. So, pangitaon do na tong payment kung 45 hours iyang gi-work. So, i-substitute ra na to, pilay payment niya kung 45 hours iyahang Y. Kay, iyahang Y diha is, ganong Y ni? Or, iyahang H na siya class ha? Iyahang H. Kay 45 hours man. That is the time. So, you can just simply substitute. So, 50, which is your constant, and then 45. So, pila iyang result, class? 50 times 45. H na siya kay hours man na siya. And then, you-substitute ra na siya diri. Okay, that is 2,250. So, meaning to say, a worker will receive 2,250 for working 45 hours. Okay, very good. Sige, so far, for example, number 1 class. 7 di, sorry. Questions? Clarifications? Violent reaction? Okay. Wala ra. Now, let's have the last one, class. Last na ni siya, ha? Maybe we'll end mga 10-10. Okay? Okay lang? Sige. So, there are people nga nag-enjoy o kanang participate. So, I hope there are also people nga while listening lang, they still understand and enjoy the lesson. Okay, koy tricky man sad kay siya, class. Now, let's go to number 8. The way of an object on the moon varies directly as it weighs on Earth. An astronaut who weighs 80 kilogram on Earth weighs 12.8 kilograms on the moon. How much would 60 kilogram person weigh on the moon? Hala, wala ko'y nasabtan. Kaguol. Okay. Sige. So now we have here, we are going to change this one into a equation first. So we have weight is equals to K is equals weight is equals to K times M. Ay, ambot. Okay, so actually you have their way. You can use another you can use letters. So you have there y is equals to K times X. K times X should akong gigamit. Okay. So, akong gigamit niya, class, is you can use any letters, ha? As long as sakto gyapon iyang pagsuwat. Pero, actually, sakto ang pagsuwat ni sipanan niya, ni Andador. So, you have there the way. Yeah, any letters will do. Or you can use the first letter, pero wala ko nag-use og W diri because way sa object sa moon og sa way man sa Earth. So, manang wala kay same raman sila WW. So, nag-use na lang ko sa original nga Y is equals to K times X. Okay? Manang wala ko nag-use og W diri. Okay? So, we have here Y. So, that is the way of an object to the moon varies directly as the way on Earth. Okay? Pero na may uban class nga gihatag, like for example, kani siya P and then H, mo na siya inyong sundon. Okay? Or if lahi ra gani yang words like kani way of an object magud siya sa moon and then kani kay way sa Earth. So same siya W. Or you can use way or WM and then WE. Okay? WM or WE. Now here, we're going to solve for K. So you have 12.8 because mo man na siya iyahang way sa moon. 12.8. And then is equals to 80, K times 80 because mo man iyahang maway sa Earth. Now, we're going to solve for K. So, 80K divided by both sides by 80. Pila siya, class? 12.80 divided by 80. 12.8 divided by 80. Eh. Okay, that is 0.16. Very good. Now, what is our equation of variation? That is y is equals to 0.16 times k. Diba? Mauna na siya. Turang gi-substitute ang ato ang k. Now, we're going to solve ko no if 60 kilograms ang person. So, di ba, ito ang sa moon man siya. So, ari siya sa y. So, you have there, y is equals to 0.16 times 60. So, pila iyahang answer class? That is 9.6. So, that is now your answer for how much would a 60 kilogram person weigh on the moon. So, 9.6 ra siya ma-weigh sa moon. Well, here sa Earth, 60 kilograms siya. So, magaan-gaan ka dito. Okay. Sige. So far, any questions for direct variation? I hope nasabtan ra, no? Even though it's quite fast. Okay. Wala right questions, class. Basta you need to find the K first, yun ha, and then make the equation for variation. The same as what we did a while ago. Okay. Sige, class. Easy. Lingaw lagi ni gamay. Okay. So, tricky raman siya, class, pero if you're going to have the pattern, basta makuha lang yun din yung pattern, dali ragid kayo ang pag-answer. Okay, so supposedly we're going to have a inverse variation. Pero, since we don't have time naman, so I will post this PPT and then I will post or find a video na lang sa YouTube. And then I want you to study this one. Okay, so that you will have an idea for our next lesson. Last lesson for what? For second grading? Or for variation? No. Dili pa. We still have many. Okay, so napatay mga 5, 4. Many pag yun. So, muna siya inverse variation, class. So, makita rin ninyo ang difference nila later on. Okay, so